Hello again, fellow YouTubers. Solomon Pleasant back for another Card Fight Vanguard clan review thing, whatever, for Team O.M.G. Vanguard. Today we're talking about Nubatama. And this one's going to be different from, like, a lot of my reviews so far, depending on how I upload these things. Just because there isn't as much to talk about, because I'm just gonna... Nubatama never really got that much support, like, that's all their support. So, it's going to be a little bit different, so just bear that thought in mind. So, Nubatama was originally introduced in Season 1 as being a clan that would focus on making your opponent discard their hand, which was a really awesome gimmick. And people would often mix Nubatama with a lot of other clans just to use the Nubatama units because they were really good for the most part. Some people had gripes with the Grade 2 and the Grade 3. I like the Grade 3. Like, I can understand having gripes with the Grade 2, but regardless. And then they didn't get any support since Season 1, until Season 3 and Set 13, where they got enough support to make it a deck, and that deck focuses specifically on binding. This was a very good move by Bushiroad, because up until this point, binding was used by only, like, 2 clans, and even then, Oracle only had 1 unit, Kagero only had 1 unit, and in Season 2 we had Narukami kind of do it, but nobody really did it good. And binding was just a skill that was just like, oh, it's just kind of there. Until we get Nubatama, and they love their bind abilities, because they basically bind the stuff and send it to the drop zone. Get rid of it, and then send it back in later. And they also do combine it with their discarding stuff, so they still have that. Yeah, Ninja Master M used it in Season 1 and Season 3, but we're not really. They had 2 episodes, and that's it. So, I would talk about decks, but there's really only one way to run it. I talk about triggers, but there's only one way to run it. You can either run it Rainbow build, or you can get the promo and then run more crit and get rid of either your heal or your draw or stand. Because they don't have much support. There's literally only one way to run Nubatama. And just most decks in general, they have the Kekiro as the starter. You have your heal, your crit, and your draw / stand and or other crit. That's your Grade 0 setup. Your Grade 1 setup is going to consist of Sakura Fubuki, because he's a good 8k, Fuki, because he's a pretty good way of getting rid of your opponent's cards. 2 of them only focus on... Like, the other 3 are really just vanilla, so you just use Dreadmaster. So it's really Dreadmaster, Sakura Fubuki, and Fuki are the only 3 Grade 1s you have to use. Grade 2-wise, it has changed a little bit. The cards that you will probably use are Oborizokura, Tamahagane, Kiryojo, or the new Shira Stealth Dragon, Dranjiri Kongo, which is part of the Legion, which I'm really not going to talk about because I really looked at the Legion, and honestly, it's not as impressive as the Limit Break. The same with the Grade 4s down there. I mean, the newer one with Gedhatsukurian is actually, is it John Uni Karkan isn't that bad of a stride unit, but honestly, like, again, not much to talk about there. There's the standard beat stick, which nobody's going to use, and then there's the 4 sheer stealth dragons, of which you may use Kabuki Kongo, who binds the field. Kochikiri Kongo is the break ride. Mandora Kongo is the Legion, which... it's an interesting Legion, it's not my personal favorite. And Yosakiri Kongo is basically the tech card that you can use instead of Kabuki Kongo, who has the Limit Break in order to mess with opponents that have a very larger hand, such as Oracle. And then you have Voidmaster, which It's really an opinion based on whether you want to run Voidmaster. It's possible, because I've proven that enough. It's possible. Like, some of my friends just like, no, it's stupid to run Voidmaster. And I'm just like, you know what? I played it enough times where I think I know running Voidmaster is actually a good thing to do. Because Voidmaster doesn't care if it's on Rearguard or Vanguard. If he hits, he's making you discard if you have less, which... Yeah, let's just talk about how Nubatama runs. How you run Nubatama is... You basically, you have your hand. And what you do is, you play the rearguards that you want to play, and you save everything else for defense. And you really just guard when you feel you can guard without taking damage. It's okay to take damage, though. Like, if your guard doesn't work, it won't necessarily be that much of an effect. Because you're still losing cards. Nubatama's whole concept is to burn their hand in any way they wish, very effectively, though. You don't just burn your hand by playing stuff on the field. That's a stupid way of doing it. You burn your hand in a medium where you play stuff as well as defending. And then once you've burned that hand, then you can start messing with your opponent to the point where they have to guard, and basically that you put them in a situation where they will, no matter what, lose cards. It will pretty much be guaranteed that they are going to lose parts of their hand, and their hand will be reduced down. And Monty, being an Oracle player, is like, well, there are situations where you can survive it. I'm like, yeah, Oracle and certain other clans do have the capability of lasting longer, but 9 out of 10 times, Nubatama will find a, like, even if you have 6 to 8 cards in your hand, Nubatama will find a way to make you discard. You will lose your hand. That is the absolute. There is no way around it. Nubatama will get your hand size very small, if not to 0. And then for rush decks like Spike Brothers, it becomes a real nightmare because once you run out of cards that you need in order to either play or put into soul, you're kind of screwed because then your whole rush setup is kind of screwed over by this clan that was originally just supposed to not get support since Season 1. So, Nubatama, it's a really it's not top tier, it is mid tier. And I give it mid tier ranking because 1, I use them and they are incredibly effective. And 2, because not a lot of people use them. Like, people look at Nubatama, they play them, and then after a while they're done. Because I think the main problem with it is because not many people understand just how much they control and wreck the field. Kochikiri Kongo especially has the ability to bind the whole field for Counterblast 1, and I get plus 10 out of it. And as I was saying in the Kagero video, yeah, Lorekeeper can do that and guarantee one card, but he gets plus 3, I get plus 10. Also, I'm going to base an 11k. Difference. And plus with Kikero that has the ability to Soul Blast 1 to get rid of 2 from the bind zone, yeah, you're going to lose cards. When you face Nubatama, be prepared, don't get too attached to what you have in your hand. You'll probably lose it. One of the downsides to Nubatama is that if your opponent can survive certain rushes, your opponent's going to have a much larger hand, which, if you can survive that larger hand, you can still play to it. Because pretty much the whole idea is, as long as your hand is at a way where you can manage it and manipulate it and pretty much make it so that your opponent will lose stuff every turn, you pretty much got a good setup going. Nubatama really does focus on balancing your hand. Once you figure out how to balance your hand, you can then focus on just wrecking your opponents. And sometimes your opponent can choose and therefore still make, because your opponent might have grid 3s, they can just discard or bind. But again, your opponent will lose cards. This clan guarantees it. So, overall, again, a very mid-tier clan. I don't say low-tier because Nubatama can easily win fights. They very easily can. It just all depends on the player. And overall, they're a very, very effective clan. It's been my number 3 favorite clan for the longest time. And it was funny because it started out as me just like, yeah, I'm gonna run Nubatama just because it never gets support, and then it got support, and then people shut the heck up about it. Because it got support, and it was awesome. So, anyway, this is Solomon Pleasant from Team O.M.G. Vanguard with Nubatama. This is Solomon Pleasant, signing off.